Nicknamed the bold new city of the South, Jacksonville is a great American city. In this series, I briefly cover a city's history, population, skyline, as well as a few things that make the city unique. Now let's meet Jacksonville. I always like to start by exploring how a city wound up being where it is today. Jacksonville is located at a narrow point of the St. Johns River about 17 miles from the Atlantic Ocean. The area has been inhabited for over 4,000 years and was originally home to the Timucua people. In 1564, the French built Fort Caroline in the area, which was one of the first European settlements in the continental United States. It, however, was destroyed by the Spanish just a year later, who came from the nearby Fort Augustine, which is the oldest continuously inhabited European settlement in the contiguous United States. Spain ceded Florida to the United States in 1821, and just a year later, American settlers laid out the town site of Jacksonville, named after Andrew Jackson. Jacksonville became an exporter of lumber, oranges, and cotton, and soon grew to become a commercial center for the region. Today, Jacksonville has a population of around 971,000, which technically speaking makes it the largest city in Florida and the 11th largest in the country. At 900 square miles, Jacksonville has the largest city proper footprint of any city in the contiguous United States, which makes it a good example of why it's important to look at a city's larger metro area when evaluating a city's true size. Jacksonville's metro population of around 1,675,000 makes it the fourth largest metro in the state and the 38th largest in the country, falling between Virginia Beach, Virginia, and Providence, Rhode Island. Jacksonville's harbor has been a major factor in the modern growth of the city, with its seaport being the largest in the state of Florida by volume. The harbor has also resulted in Jacksonville having several military bases, which combine to make up the third largest military presence of any city in the country. The most recognizable companies headquartered in the Jacksonville area include Firehouse Subs, Fanatics, and CSX Corporation. Jacksonville is home to 4 four-year colleges, with the University of Northern Florida being the largest. Call me shallow, but when it comes to cities, I think appearances matter, which is why I always enjoy evaluating a city's skyline. I think Jacksonville has a nice looking skyline, especially when you take into account that the city is much smaller than it appears on paper. If you were thinking it was actually the 11th largest city in the country, the skyline would certainly be underwhelming. I do think the cityscape is easily recognizable thanks to some of the unique buildings that make up the skyline, such as the Wells Fargo Center, which was actually the tallest building in Florida when it was completed in 1974. If you took the average height of Jacksonville's tallest 5 buildings, it would be ranked as the 37th tallest skyline in the country, just behind Portland, Oregon, and just ahead of San Diego, California. The tallest building in the city is the Bank of America Tower at 617 feet. I mentioned earlier that Jacksonville has a huge military presence, and moored in downtown Jacksonville is the USS Orlick. The USS Orlick is a Gearing-class destroyer that has been turned into a museum ship. The USS Orlick received 18 battle stars during its service in Korea and Vietnam, which is only 1 star short of the most decorated ship in the history of the Navy, the USS New Jersey. It's actually a new addition to Jacksonville, only having arrived in 2022. Directly across the St. Johns River from the Naval Museum is the South Bank Riverwalk. It's 1.25 miles long and is lined with art as well as some of the best views of the city. Connected to the Riverwalk is the Friendship Fountain, which is one of the primary landmarks of Jacksonville. The Friendship Fountain was built in 1965 and was the world's largest and tallest fountain at the time. Just downriver from the Riverwalk is Everbank Stadium, the home of the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is the city's only major sports team. The stadium has some of the most unique amenities you'll ever find in a sports stadium: 2 swimming pools that you can watch the game from. A unique museum in Jacksonville is the Cummer Museum of Art and Gardens. It's beautifully situated along the river on the other side of downtown Jacksonville from the stadium. The museum itself has a large collection of 5,000 works of art, but what stands out to me are the gardens along the river. Jacksonville claims the title of having the largest urban park system in the country, with 80,000 acres of parkland. Included in that is the Timucua Ecological and Historical Preserve, which is one of the Atlantic coast's last unspoiled wetlands and is operated by the National Park Service. Earlier in the video I mentioned the French Fort Caroline, and within the park is the Fort Caroline National Memorial, where you can get a sense of what the original fort was like. The other national park site is the Kingsley Plantation, which is also located within the Timucuan Historical Preserve. It's the oldest plantation in Florida. Between the preserve and downtown Jacksonville is one of the nation's most impressive bridges, the Dames Point Bridge. The bridge is about 2 miles long and has 21 miles of cable supporting it, making it one of the largest cable-stayed bridges in the country. Jacksonville is also famous for its beautiful beaches. The city has over 22 miles of sandy beaches, which is one of the major draws of the city. And I'll wrap up this video by mentioning that Jacksonville's larger metro area includes the historic city of St. Augustine. St. Augustine probably deserves a video of its own, considering it's the oldest continuously inhabited European established settlement in the contiguous United States. The Castillo de San Marcos Fort was built in the 17th century and is the oldest masonry fortification in the United States. Well, that wraps up my video about Jacksonville. If you enjoyed the video, please give the video a like and check out some of my other videos about cities. Thanks for watching.